It's like, not like little brother kind of humor, but that's the best thing I can think of to describe for it. You just have to be in a goofy mood. Hello and welcome to the BookTube channel, Jack in the Book Stack, where I talk about a wide variety of book genres and the bookish lifestyle. And if you're new to my channel, then you may not know that I am in my Brandon Sanderson era. I will leave a link for you down below of all the videos I've done experiencing his work. I am kind of eating it all up right now, really having a good time with this fantasy author. And today I want to start a reading vlog for Secret Project number 2, which is the longest book title ever, The Frugal Wizard's Handbook for Surviving Medieval England. I don't know much about this other than I've seen some reviews online and they seem pretty lukewarm. Now, I don't know if that's a true reflection of this book or if it's just a matter of people comparing this piece of work to his other books. And maybe it's just so different, maybe it's rubbing people the wrong way. I don't know. I have no expectations going into it. I'm going to try to separate it out since I'm newer to him and I have yet to read some of his big heavy hitter books like Warbreaker and the Stormlight Archive. Maybe I will enjoy it a little bit more. I am prepared going into this for an amnesia trope where someone wakes up and doesn't know where he is. For some reason though, I feel like I'm expecting something like The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I don't know why. I don't know if that's true. I don't know where I heard that, but that for some reason is in the back of my mind going into this. If that is true though, I'm not really a fan of sci-fi. I don't gravitate towards it, but I have been known to enjoy some sci-fi literature or sci-fi elements in the past, so I truly have an open mind going into this. I just know that I need to read absolutely everything that Brandon Sanderson has ever written. It's gonna take me a while, but here we go with Secret Project number 2. Okay, I have finished part 1, which means I'm about 20% of the way into the book, and I figured it is as good enough a time as any to give you an update on my initial impressions. I mentioned I expected this to have a sci-fi flavor to it, and I am not necessarily a fan of sci-fi, but I don't know that I knew that this had an element of like time travel or multi-dimensional travel exploration to it. I'm not entirely thrilled with that. I don't know what year this book takes place in, but they do mention that interdimensional travel was discovered or invented in the year 2084. So it does take place in the future. And our main character is definitely talking about like cell phones and different abilities where I don't know how this works, but he has something where it like heals him and he doesn't require sleep all the time, and so that's very futuristic. Well, whatever year it is, now it is a perk of tourism to go to a different dimension, like a vacation. Except for you go to this dimension and you own it, like it is yours. And it says that it is all the same year, like this world has been around for the same number of years, but they are not as advanced. So most of the worlds are like a medieval time period. So he's gone back to this medieval time, and when we first start the book, a side effect of this multi-dimensional travel is that you have like short-term amnesia. So he's trying to gather the pages together of his handbook that tells him where he is, what he's doing, what's going on. So he doesn't really know. He doesn't even know what his name is, what his profession is, what he does. So he just lands in this medieval time and trying to piece this together. And then like he runs into people that, you know, he's trying to question them to see like what they believe in, because it doesn't necessarily align with history. It's not that he traveled back in time, right? Because this is the same year as in his normal world. It's just really regressed. Okay, so I was prepared going into this for sci-fi vibes. So even though I'm not enjoying it, I can't really critique the book for that, because like if you don't like sci-fi but you pick up a sci-fi, like you're the only one to blame. So I'm just gonna put that aside because I know that's not my favorite. But what's rubbing me the wrong way about this book is the forced humor of it. I think you really have to be in a specific goofy mood to enjoy this. And I mentioned, you know, I don't know if people just don't like this because it doesn't compare to Sanderson's other books. Well, it definitely doesn't. It's just forced. Like, I felt Tress of the Emerald Sea was still sarcastic, witty, charming. This one is just obnoxious so far with the writing style. And I don't know. I need to read it slowly, I think, because if I pick this up at the wrong time, like, it is not landing well with me, because it's like, not like little brother kind of humor, but that's the best thing I can think of to describe for it. You just have to be in a goofy mood. I think you just have to be in a goofy, silly mood. Because it's not like intelligent satire, it's just silly. Which, I mean, maybe that has its time and place for escapism. So I just need to read it slowly, make sure I'm picking it up in the right mood. But that's my initial impressions, is that obviously I'm not enjoying the plot so far because it's very heavy sci-fi. I don't like the character or anything because of this sarcasm that's driving me crazy. But the plot is interesting because some other people show up in this world that kidnap the brother of someone, and so our main character wants to help because he knows who these characters are. They came from his world, and only he can stop them, right? Because he came from this world where their technology is the same. So the plot isn't bad. Like, it has me engaged. I want to see what happens there. So I guess I will just keep reading and find out more. Alright, I finished Frugal Wizard's Handbook, and I liked it, but it's like a low level like. I'd say maybe slightly less than a 3-star, maybe 2.75 on Storyograph, 3 stars on GoodReads. And I don't know, there was a lot about this I liked. Firstly, the plot was very engaging. We have kind of a quest as we are going after these bad guys, and for our main character, he has amnesia. We're finding out who he is alongside him. And that's a big part of the plot, as he's finding out who he is, what his skill sets are, why some things seem familiar to him, why he recognizes these people in this dimension as bad guys. Like, why does he recognize them? Why does he know that they're bad? And so I kind of enjoyed that element of it. I was engaged in seeing where the plot was going to go. And for the character, I liked him, I guess, and finding out who he was. I like there was an element of an underdog or low expectations of our main character, because you're always rooting for an underdog, right? And so I think that I liked him. I liked the side characters as well. They weren't really fleshed out or that in-depth, but I don't think every book needs like a super in-depth character study. It was more surface level with these characters, but that didn't bother me all that much. What bothered me was the tone. I mentioned the humor was very forced to me. It felt like little brother humor. And by that I mean, like, this seems like something, like the jokes in here were jokes that like a 12-year-old would tell. This obsession with bananas, I don't know. And with the secret projects, Brandon Sanderson wrote these books during the pandemic for his wife. He didn't expect anyone to read them, and this one, you can really see that because it feels like you're on the outside of an inside joke. Have you ever been there when like two of your friends or two people start cracking up of something really mundane and ordinary, like in this case bananas, and they're freaking out about it, and you're just like, why is that funny? That's exactly how I felt reading this. I felt on the outside of an inside joke. I did like kind of the whimsy of the pages of the handbook that were interspersed throughout the story that we were reading. I thought that was kind of fun. I didn't mind all the humor in that necessarily. I think it was more in the actual story where it bugged me. Like, our main character has like his internal dialogue and he rates everything. Like, he's hiding behind a tree and he's like, well, the tree's okay, it provides good cover, but the ground's not comfortable. 3 stars. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know about all this. It just felt really forced to me. So what drags us down for me is really the tone. The world building was okay, but again, I'm not really into sci-fi. So the multidimensional kind of time travel element, even though the worlds, like I said, are the same age, like this world doesn't have a lot of technology, they don't have the same history, and so they don't understand a lot of things from like present day. So it's like that time travel element, the sci-fi with portals and dimensions was not my thing, and the magic that existed in this world was confusing, I guess. It was just very light. It's like most of the book you're like, does it exist? Does it not? I don't really know. I would have liked it. Like, it was very heavy emphasis on the sci-fi element, not so much the magical element. So the world building was just kind of a draw for me, because I can't say that I dislike it. Like, if you go into a book knowing it's sci-fi and then you dislike it for being sci-fi, that's not right, right? So the world building, I would say, is just neutral. I wish there was more magic in it. But yeah, that's it. Plot, good. Characters, good. Tone, bad. World building, okay. So that's kind of where I land with Frugal Wizard's Handbook. So comparing it to what I've seen for other reviews when they don't really like this book, I can see why. I don't think it's because they're comparing it to Brandon Sanderson's other work. I mean, that might be an element of it because this has to be the most different thing I've read from him. But it just, you really have to be in a silly, ridiculous, whimsical kind of mood in order to enjoy this. But I'm so glad I read it. I'm excited to go on to the next secret project. Number 3 is Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, so I will probably do another, like a similar reading vlog for that one. So if you have any comments, please leave them down below what you would like to see in my next reading vlog of these secret projects, because I have at least 2 more. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. I will see you in the next one. Happy reading!